Most of us are born into this world with the ability to create life. And most of us leave this world with the power to save lives. In my 38 years, never have I given organ donation a second thought until it was just that saved my own family. Until it was just that saved my own son. My wife, Christina, gave birth to our little fighter, Nathan, in March of 2015. And by all appearances, he was a strong, healthy baby boy weighing in at 10 pounds, 4 ounces. He had a touch of jaundice, but that being common, after a couple of treatments of light therapy, we were on our way home. Life was perfect. And with us being your modern-day blended family, with my 2 sons and Christina's daughter, Nathan was like the glue that bonded us all together. We were finally a family with him. Well, neither Christina nor I could have ever, in a million years, predicted how in just a few short months, our lives would completely fall apart. See, Nathan's jaundice never got better. In fact, it was only getting worse. It was when his wet diapers started to have dark brown stains in them that we made our first trip to the ER. And I was telling my wife, no big deal, babe. They'll just give him some more light therapy and we'll be on our way back home. Well, within a few hours, he was transported to Lurie Children's Hospital. And 4 days later, we were told that without a new liver, he would die. I was devastated. I felt like I got hit in the head with a bag of bricks. And I will never forget the sight of my wife standing in our kitchen, sobbing, and me thinking that there was nothing in this world that I could ever do or ever say to take her pain away. We were helpless, afraid. We were angry. And we had to force ourselves to ask the one question that no parent should ever have to ask. How long? How long does our son have? Well, they couldn't answer that. They couldn't even answer what was causing Nathan's liver to fail. But there was one thing that was clear for everybody to see. Nathan's liver disease was progressing, and it was progressing with a vengeance. Within a month, he went into acute liver failure and was placed on status 1A on the national transplant list. And to give you an idea, one of the many requirements to be on status 1A is to have a life expectancy of 7 days. And every single day that went by, I saw the fight fade from my son's eyes. And my baby boy was fighting hard. And never in my life have I ever seen anybody fight for anything as hard as I've seen my 5-month-old baby fight. He was fighting for his life. And after 14 days of being on that list, we got the word. They found a liver. But Nathan, he was in such bad shape, I wasn't even sure if he'd make it to surgery. It had been weeks since he smiled. He wasn't even crying anymore. And because of the weight on his lungs from all the fluid in his belly, he struggled every day just to breathe. And they couldn't drain the fluid like they normally would out of fear he'd bleed out because his blood had stopped clotting. So the only thing left for me, the only thing left for anybody to do was to just be with my son. And the morning of his surgery, his dark yellow eyes locked onto mine and they said, "I'm tired, Dad. I don't know if I can do this anymore." And I said, "Yes, you can, son. You have to fight. Fight." And it was then that reality had finally set in for me. It was then that I knew PICU was Nathan's last stop. My son was either going to leave that hospital with his eyes open, or he was going to leave that hospital with his eyes closed. And that is the cold, hard truth of pediatric end-stage liver disease. And when they rolled his crib into that operating room, he went in dying. And 12 hours later, he came out living. My son was alive, and the breath of life had been blown back into my son by an angel. A man who made a decision. A man who made a choice and said, I am an organ donor. And because the liver is the only organ in the human body that can regenerate, all Nathan needed was just a piece. And the last selfless act that man made on this earth was to give my son the piece he needed. He gave my son a gift of life. According to the United Network for Organ Sharing, or UNOS, who, by the way, is the one and only organization contracted by the federal government to manage and oversee all organ transplants in the United States. On average, 22 people die every day in this country on an organ transplant waiting list. That's roughly 8,000 people a year. That's 8,000 mothers and fathers, 8,000 sisters and brothers. And in the year 2015, 104 children died. That's 104 sons and daughters who died waiting. You know, when Nathan got sick, my wife quit her job and I had taken 3 months off of work so we can be with our son. We dropped everything and we lived at that hospital. But we couldn't just sit around and wait. No, we had to be active. We had to be proactive. So we took to social media and we found other families going through the same things that we were. Other parents who had children fighting liver disease like us. And not only did we find other families in the same hospital, but we found other families on the same floor. And there was a little boy named Killian, who was only a few months older than Nathan. And with his room being only a couple of rooms down from Nathan's, we'd sometimes hear him cry. We'd bump into his mom in the hallway or on the streets, and we would always ask, how's he doing? But the truth was, we knew how he was doing. He was in PICU, like Nathan. He was fighting, waiting, like Nathan. And after Nathan got his transplant and we were all back at home recovering, I would check Killian's Facebook page every day. And every day his mom would post, still waiting. But today is an excellent day for a liver. That one morning I woke up and checked his page and there was a picture of Killian with a post that read, "Fly high, my beautiful angel boy." Killian died waiting on a liver that never came. And to say I can't imagine would be a lie, because I did imagine. I imagined every single day what my life would be like without my son. I imagined every single day how on earth could I ever go on living my life in the world without my son. And when I looked at Killian's picture, I saw my son. My own son who I loved more than anything in this world. My own son who I would lay my life down in a second if it only meant he could keep his. It is mind-boggling to me how Killian died when he didn't have to. Why? Why did Nathan get a liver and Killian didn't? Why did Nathan get to live and Killian didn't? How could this happen? Who decides these things? We do. We decide. And of course, I would love to live my life until a ripe old age to where my organs just may be useless to anybody. But the fact is, I can die tomorrow. And if I were to die tomorrow, well, I want to leave this world saving lives. I want to leave this world giving life as it was so freely given to me. You know, my son has his own Facebook page, Saving Baby Nathan. And every now and again, we would post things advocating organ donation. And every now and again, somebody would comment something like, you know, if they know you're an organ donor, they won't work as hard to save your life. Now, I don't have any statistics or data to counter that claim, but what I do have is a memory that's been seared into my mind, a memory that completely contradicts any and all claims to the contrary. The day they moved Nathan to PICU, he went in for a second liver biopsy. And I was expecting it to be like his first one. In and out, no problem. Well, when they brought him back from that procedure, it was at that moment that I had experienced, for the first time in my life, time standing still. I was frozen, paralyzed by fear. My eyes welled up with tears, and my mouth went dry. My heart was beating 1,000 times a minute, and I couldn't catch my breath. A cold chill ran down my spine because I just knew that this was the moment I'd been dreading. I just knew that this was the moment I'd imagined over and over and over, and if I can close my eyes and make it all go away, I would. But this was my son, and I'm his father. So there I stood, watching a mob of doctors and nurses doing everything in their power to keep my son alive. And never once did I see the nurse who was giving my son a blood transfusion because he lost so much blood during the procedure fumble around and drop the ball. Never once did I see the nurse who was squeezing air into the mask over my son's pasty white face to give him just one more breath because he could no longer breathe on his own. Never once did I see her skip a beat. And not once did anybody walk up to either my wife or myself and ask, I know this is difficult, but are you considering organ donation? No, I didn't see any of that. But what I did see was a team of hepatologists, anesthesiologists, neurologists, nurses, attending physicians of PICU, all taking action. And it was their actions that spoke louder than any words out there. It was their actions that told me, not on my watch. This baby will not die today. So no, I don't know if they'll work any less hard saving your life, knowing that you're an organ donor. I really don't. But what I do know is that Nathan was the most important life in the room that day. And that is enough for me. So today I present to you a choice. And in my experience, it has always been the small, little choices in life that have made the greatest impact. I imagine my son's Angel maybe going to renew his driver's license, or sitting at home in front of his computer, and maybe even on a whim, making a choice and saying, sure, why not? I'll be an organ donor. And my wife and I spending our final hours with our son when those doctors busted in his room and said, we've got one. It was that choice that brought us out of despair and into hope. It was that choice that allows me to witness every day just how much a son truly loves his mother. And it was that choice that saved Nathan's life. So if you're not already, are you willing to make that same choice and register to be an organ donor? And if you are, in this day and age, you can do it in only a couple of minutes, from your phone no less. Just go to UNOS.org. That's UNOS.org, just like the card game, but with an S. And click on the link that reads, sign up to donate. And that will take you exactly where you need to go. And ask yourselves, will you stand firm in a world that's seemingly full of chaos and hate? And will you dare to love? Ask yourselves, will you stand firm in a world whose people only seem to care about themselves? And will you dare to care about somebody else? Ask yourselves, will you stand firm in a world that seems to only want to take? And will you dare to give the greatest gift of all, the gift of life?